A North Carolina state trooper named Garrett Macario attempted to stop a vehicle for speeding in October 2024. The driver fled. The trooper terminated the pursuit, and as he rounded the curve, he saw that the driver had crashed. So, did he approach the vehicle and render aid? Of course not. He stopped his cruiser, got on the phone with his sergeant, while the driver lay dying at the base of a concrete bridge support, and together, they planned for you to never know a thing about this. Let's talk about it. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to Southern Draw Law. My name is James White, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor, former police officer. In October 2024, Trooper Garrett Macario from the North Carolina Highway Patrol was in the Raleigh, North Carolina area conducting routine patrol when he initiated a traffic stop on a vehicle driven by a gentleman named Tyrone Mason. The stop was supposed to be for speeding. Now, Mason immediately fled at a high rate of speed, and Macario, realizing that it was becoming dangerous, decided to end the pursuit. Approximately 1 minute later, Macario rolled up to the scene and started to panic. He didn't check on the man inside. He didn't radio for medical. He called his sergeant, and they started workshopping an excuse. So let's take a look at the body cam that was recently released from Trooper Macario so that we can get an idea of what's going on here. Now, I want to be clear here. At this point, all he's done is attempt to stop a vehicle for speeding. He pursued it for around a minute and terminated it when it became too dangerous, which is exactly what he should have done. Now, up to this point, he has a big mistake, but unless you've been a cop or you understand certain protocols, you probably don't know what it is. It's not obvious. And I'm going to hold off on pointing it out because it will speak to motive here shortly. But let's get back to the remainder of this short body cam segment, and we'll see what actually happens next.
C340 Raleigh.
Raleigh C340, go ahead.
Yeah, RPD and Fire and EMS 1018 to Capitol and Wake Forest Road, reference at 1050 PI.
Okay, so he's rolling up on the car crash, and you'll actually notice here as I freeze the frame that there's a wheel coming off the vehicle and rolling across the road. That's from the debris field from the crash. That means that this car was still basically falling apart as he approached it. So we're talking about literal seconds. Now, note the timestamp here. For reasons unknown, we don't have the portions of the dash cam from 2:30 to 2:32. What Macario actually did from 2:30 to 2:32, we'll never really know. At 2:32, he made this call to his supervisor, Sergeant Matthew Morrison.
Yo, what's up?
Hey, so this car passed me downtown at like 70 and 40, and I went to stop him. He took off, and I just went ahead and disengaged just to his driving behaviors. Coming outbound, and when I came around the corner, I had already turned my shit off, he wrecked and I took him 50F rank.
Please tell me you're fucking joking.
No, I mean I had all my shit was off. Came around the corner here at Atlantic Avenue. He ran into the median here.
Did you call 1043 or anything?
No, sir. The second I realized that it was not a smart chase, I literally turned all my stuff off. I'd lost sight when I came around the corner. I saw all the smoke.
Sounds to me like this RPD's problem.
All right, they're on the way. I mean,
But you're the first one out with it?
yeah. I mean, not being like weird about it. I just did not feel it was a safe chase.
Okay, is your camera still rolling?
Yeah, on a different recording though because I had already disengaged.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you turned around on him. You lit him up. You immediately stopped as soon as you lost sight of him, and you drove up on him as RPD's.
Yeah. I mean, I had turned myself off. I continued to roll, and then as I was probably going 50 miles an hour, and I was like, holy crap, there's that same car. So,
Yeah.
all right, well, that works.
I wouldn't mention anything to them about you tried to stop him.
No, I won't.
Just say, hey man, I drove up on this.
Yeah.
And leave it at that.
All right. Yeah, no, it was very short. I was like,
Yeah.
I did not feel safe chasing this dude.
Damn.
Yeah.
So is there EMS or anybody out there?
They're on the way.
You confirmed he's DRT though?
Yeah.
Okie dokie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, no, it was not 1043.
okay. Yeah, that's RPD's problem. I won't say shit to him.
All right, sir. I appreciate it.
I just feel like I drove up on it.
All right.
All right. Have anything else?
All right, bye.
All right, bye.
Okay, so there you have it. Did you notice that Morrison asked him a very significant question about whether he called it in? Well, the reason he asked that is because in the cop world, if you didn't call it in, that basically means that you can pretend it didn't happen. And that's the mistake that I was alluding to earlier. It's likely the motive, actually, for this whole deal, because he basically refused to render aid to the guy and left him laying to die because he started a pursuit and terminated it before he ever notified dispatch or his superior. And he didn't want to get in trouble and thought he could get away with it. And when he called his boss, they doubled down on the lie. Now, it's important to understand that both of them are criminally culpable at this point. Morrison doesn't just say, I wouldn't say anything about the traffic stop. That's what he says first. That's bad enough. But it's hedged enough linguistically that he could potentially say, well, I was telling him what I would do if it was me. But the next directive is the one that's really damning because he tells him, just tell them that you came up on it. And Macario did exactly what he was told.
Yeah, it's a fatal. Yeah, I rolled up on it. He obviously came over the median. There's a bunch of people up there, by the way.
See if you get that door open.
Just watch your back. There's a bunch
You check
of
on him yet or no?
Not yet, no.
Randy, check on him. See if he's good.
There's a bunch of dudes up there, by the way. Just watch your back.
Sir? Sir, are you okay, sir? Your eyes open or anything?
No.
Breathing? Sir? Were you like pulling him over or something?
No.
You just was driving by him?
It's a little area I work, so. Then I came up on it, I saw the smoke, and heard all the cars hitting the debris. I moved the tire out of the road and that's everything else is still intact.
Okay.
Again, is it any real mystery as to why we want these guys to wear body cam and not have any control over their operation? Now, I know there's going to be some of you, and righteously so, I don't blame you for thinking this way, and if I wasn't a lawyer, I might also. There are going to be people who are wondering why these guys weren't charged with homicide. So let's just address the elephant in the room. a homicide charge or any criminal charge related to the chase would fail on causation. In order to prove any crime, you have to be able to prove a causal link between what the defendant did and the ultimate harm. And the fact is that in this case, Macario was trying to make a traffic stop for a speeding car, and Mason fled. It only lasted a minute. Macario terminated, and Mason crashed trying to get away. And that's really kind of like the stupid part of this whole deal, because Macario threw away his entire career in order to keep from getting in trouble for not calling out a traffic stop that became a pursuit. Now, I know that even though I just explained that, and I didn't go over it real in depth, there are still going to be people who disagree with me. And to those folks, I would just say, look at some context clues here. And I'll bring up Benjamin Crump because he has actually partnered with a local attorney to bring suit under 1983 against the state of North Carolina for this crash. But here's what's important about Crump. First off, that guy is the very last guy that you want showing up to bring attention to a situation that you very desperately want people to not pay attention to. And Benjamin Crump is never going to shy away from any sort of legal claim that he can make when he picks and chooses which cases he wants to get involved in. And the reason we know that homicide wouldn't stick isn't so much about the theory of the suit that they actually brought. They brought a 1983 suit, but the theory of the suit is very telling itself. The lawsuit alleged a violation of due process under the 14th Amendment. And that's important, but it's not as important as what it does not allege. The lawsuit does not allege wrongful death here. So all I'm saying to you is that if you doubt whether or not homicide charges should have been brought here, just think about this. If Benjamin Crump doesn't see a pathway to be able to prove causation in order to file a wrongful death theory, when the burden of proof in a civil case is just barely more than 50%, it's preponderance of the evidence, then there's zero chance that you could ever prove on a state level that the chase itself was the primary reason for the death of Mr. Mason under a criminal homicide theory that carries a burden of proof that is beyond a reasonable doubt. And that's why there's no homicide charge. But that's basically where this case stopped being about these rogue, unethical troopers who don't have any integrity, and it starts becoming more about this injustice system. You see, just as easily as Macario could have been truthful about what happened, attempted to render aid, given an honest report about the pursuit and the way it ended, and then taken his lick for the policy violation, the Wake County District Attorney, Lauren Freeman, could have been honest and saved the public scrutiny as well. Hell, they could have just as easily thrown these guys under the bus. They had every reason to. I mean, they had to dismiss like 180 DUI cases that the combination of these two troopers were involved in, because they effectively Brady listed them because they don't have any credibility because of this incident. And for whatever reason, I mean, allow your imaginations to run wild, the district attorney just decided that the public doesn't deserve an explanation. This thing happened in October. The videos were released like a couple weeks ago. No press conference, no press release, just quiet damage control. And we didn't learn about any of this because the state came clean. We learned about it because they lost a lawsuit forcing them to release the body cam, which they fought tooth and nail to keep hidden from the public. They didn't do it to protect an investigation. They didn't do it to protect the family. They did it to protect the institution. They fought the release of this body cam footage to keep it out of public view. Why? Because they knew that they would face backlash and that the public would want charges to be brought, and they didn't want to bring charges. And just like it's true that they probably couldn't have proven a homicide charge, it's also true that they absolutely had probable cause to bring charges. And here's what the DA doesn't want you guys thinking about. These aren't just bad optics, they're actual crimes. North Carolina Statute 14225, false report to law enforcement. North Carolina Statute 14223, obstruction of justice. Criminal conspiracy to commit a misdemeanor, obstruction of justice, giving false information. You got 2 counts for each of these guys. They coordinated a false report, gave it to a city agency investigating a fatal accident, and misled investigating officers. If a civilian did this, they'd immediately be in cuffs. And we know all of that because of their own documentation, and that's the part that nobody's talking about. In March, the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation filed a search warrant affidavit for Macario's phone. And here's what a lot of people don't really understand about search warrants. They require probable cause. Yes, the same standard that an officer would need to get in order to obtain a warrant for someone's arrest, they need to be able to show in order to get a search warrant. And in the affidavit for the search warrant, they swore under oath that they had probable cause to believe that Macario committed obstruction of justice. And you don't get a search warrant without that. I mean, it's right there in black and white in the warrant affidavit for all of us to see. And guess what? That search warrant confirmed what they suspected, that Macario committed obstruction of justice and giving false information. But it did something else. It also revealed that Sergeant Morrison conspired to obstruct justice and give false information as well. So when the DA says that they didn't have enough to charge, that's a bald-faced lie. They already told a judge under oath that they did have enough. They just refused to bring charges because they didn't want to. And in closing, this is a scandal that never needed to be a scandal. It became one because the entire system is geared towards self-preservation, and not one of the people that we pay to work in service to us give two shits about destroying public confidence, leaving a family wondering forever whether their loved one had a chance to survive, or doing whatever they have to do to make sure that the bureaucracy keeps grinding away and giving them a paycheck every month. The cover-up is always worse than the crime. Macario did absolutely the wrong thing by not calling in the traffic stop, but then he did the right thing by stopping the chase when it appeared to be getting dangerous. And the worst thing that would have happened to him, had he been honest, is he would have taken a couple days off for violating policy. But then he didn't check on the man in the car, and he didn't radio for help, and he didn't tell the truth. Morrison, for his part, could have just written Macario up and done what a supervisor is supposed to do, and he could have saved himself, but he decided to jump off the cliff too. And trust me, this was not a knowing self-sacrifice by Morrison. This was arrogance and a complete comfort and expertise with manipulating public resources to achieve maximum personal benefit, because he's done it over and over and over again. These guys had 180 DUI cases. You don't think they've done some of this stuff in some of those cases? You don't think that their credibility is the reason that we're here? I mean, these guys lacked integrity from the beginning. And that would have made it easy for the DA to do the right thing too. Every single person along the line in this timeline has done the wrong thing and the thing that is in the worst interest of the public. The district attorney, instead of punishing the troopers by charging them with the crimes that they committed and that could easily been proven, the DA protected them, failed to protect the public from the actions of these troopers, and worst of all, failed to charge them criminally so that there's still a possibility. I mean, it's probably a remote possibility, because I'd say they lose their jobs and their post certifications, but there is a world where these guys could get back in a patrol vehicle, and then they'll be able to lie about the circumstances surrounding the death of someone else's family member. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why the public is increasingly losing faith in law enforcement, the courts, and what has basically become a system of injustices masquerading as a justice system. Anyway, that's all I have for this one, guys. I just wanted to bring it to your attention. There's not been a ton of coverage about this. It's been sort of unfolding for a couple months, and I wanted the information to come in before I really commented on it. Now, watch out for tomorrow, because there'll be some stuff said in the comments, and after this video publishes, I will probably have some stuff that I didn't think to say that comes from the comment section. And what I'll do is I'll write a companion blog, which I've been doing after every video, on Substack, in order to sort of explain some of the things I didn't really consider or that people brought up along the way. And with that, I'd like to invite you over to the Substack community. It's absolutely free to join. You don't have to pay anything to be a member. I don't put anything behind a paywall. You can join on a paid tier, but that's just for people who want to support the channel monetarily. If you don't want to join Substack or follow me to a different platform, but you'd like to support the channel monetarily, I'll put my Venmo and PayPal links both here on the screen as well as in the description. Please remember to like and subscribe and leave a comment on the video. Check out some of the other videos on the channel and leave a comment on there as well. Until I see you again, take care. Always film your interactions with the police and keep your evidence to yourself.